Hey guys, MJ here from Nikon Singapore. If you're here, this page means you're looking for a flashlight, right? For whatever reason, be it travel, hobbies, adventure, for starting a new job, maybe. Now, this is my 4-step framework to help you pick the perfect light for your work adventures. Now, on this one pager here, when you scroll down, you can see the different steps 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this didn't come out of thin air, right? So, I've been selling flashlights for over 9 years, right? I've kept all kinds of customers in every industry, from Disneyland to Universal Studios to military to search and rescue to pest control to the guys working the lifts to silicone makers to paint shop guys to race car garage. Every single person that might find himself in low light, we have touched base with or somehow served in some way. So I know the kind of questions that you ask and how to best solve your problem. Right, the cost of wrong advice is really very high. Right, one perfect story was this guy that went into a retail shop to buy a flashlight. Right, he told the shop owner, hey, I want the brightest headlamp. Fine. The shop owner gave him the brightest headlamp and off he went. So next day, he went on a job site, tunnel, right? The first 30 minutes, his light died, right? But he shift for 3 hours. So he was stuck in this pitch black tunnel with no light and no way of getting out. So he had to call for help, then he had to rescue him and all that. So after all this frustration, he was so angry that, hey, why did the box say 10 hours but the light only died after 30 minutes? Right, so he brought 2 officers to the shop. He said that, hey, this is a scam light. But from the shop owner's point of view, he did no wrong, right? You asked for the brightest light, I gave you the brightest light. If you told me that you're going to work in the tunnel, you needed more than 3 hours of runtime, then I would have given you a different headlamp. So that's the cost of getting wrong advice, especially for professionals who work in low light. One tiny mistake could escalate into really, really high risk situation, so we don't fool around when it comes to lighting and gear. Right, so on top of this, right, last year I asked our private Facebook group, hey, how many lights do you have? Right, do you have a drawer full of them? Out of the 400 or so responses, many of them had about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lights, right, even. So I wanted to find out, hey, 9 lights, so what are the kind of lights that you buy? Why did you need 9 lights? On top of that, I crawled back our sales data for the past 5 years. The same customer often bought only 3 types of lights: a primary light, backup light for the primary, and smaller companion tools like keychain lights and all that kind of things. So that's where this framework was born. Within that 1 year with us, you naturally buy these kind of things. So I'm shortcutting that 1 year of trial and error and giving you this framework. So hey, this is how you decide, these are the things that you're gonna buy. So here's the big picture strategy for getting properly equipped. So step 1 is to find out what you're going to do, right? Then step 2, choose your primary light. And step 3, choose your secondary light. And step 4, choose your companion tools. Now, step 1, what are you going to do? You gotta map your workplace first, right? So if you're going hiking into a forest, you will know that, hey, there are a lot of trees around the forest. My path is not gonna take me into wide open landscapes. My visibility would only reach maybe 20, 30 meters, right? I don't need a light to shine 1 km away. Then imagine the things you have to do, right? Am I just walking through? Am I leading a team behind me? Am I going to the forest to look for a person, right? If you are search and rescue. Am I going in to remove a tree that has fallen, blocking an important path? Depending on literally what you're gonna do, your setup changes completely. If you are going in as a search and rescue, you will need beacons, you need lights to mark the place that you've searched, you need long throw lights, you need headlamps. Very, very different from the guy that's going in to clear a lot. If you're going in to cut trees up, then you need floodlights, you need wearable lights, you have machinery running, you need beacon lights for your own safety so you don't get hit by other people running their stuff. So you gotta know what you're doing in the space before moving to the next step. Next part is imagine all the things that could go wrong. Right, an innocent hiking trip with his family could go very wrong. Like, what if one of them takes a tumble? Then you have to do first aid, right? Can you patch the wound in the dark? Do you have the things to work with both hands and have a hands-free and still can see the wound? Right? Can someone hold a light for you? What are all the considerations, right? What could go wrong? And what are the tools to help you when things go wrong? So now, after thinking through those 3 things, you have a list of problems that you need to solve with the tools. So that brings us to choose your primary light. So according to your workspace, I know that I am in a forest 30 meters, so I don't need a light that shines beyond 30 meters. So something like this, the P10V2, if you look at the box on the side, it says maximum beam distance. When it says 200 meters divided by 2. So the effective real world distance that this light will help you see is about 100 meters, right? This is because the NC charts will give you laboratory settings. It's all calculated. It doesn't take into account real world pollution, air pollution, fog, particles, dust in the air, right? All this plays a factor in reducing beam distance. Right, so next question is, how bright does it need to be? In reality, in today's context, you really only need 1000 lumens. Anything above 1000, it gets really hot really fast, right? I know there are lights that are pushing 2000, 4000 lumens. Those are really hot, right? The brighter your light, the faster it consumes power and the lesser your runtime. So in a scenario where I'm going into a forest, I don't need 4000 lumens to light the way. At that rate, I will burn through the battery in 30 minutes, then I'm stuck. So 1000 lumens is more than enough for almost any job, unless you are in something specialized where you need high lumen to get a wall of light in front of you. Most people only need 200 to 500 lumens to navigate properly, one person walking through a pathway kind of thing. Unless you are dashing through the forest, then you need a brighter light, a longer throw to map the path ahead of you. Next is battery type. Right, does it use 18650 or 21700 batteries? Why these two batteries? Why not CL123 or those AA or AAA? All the best lights are built around these two batteries because A, they give the highest capacity and they give enough amperes to power a light beyond 1000 lumens. These are the kind of batteries that hit 1000 lumens and still run for 90 minutes. Once you have those two benchmark, 1000 lumens, 90 minutes, okay, done. You have a decent light. Right, don't go for those lights that are really tiny. They can do 1000 lumens, but they can only run for 10 minutes. It's like, right, there's not much point to those kind of lights. Those are more novelty collection lights. So if you're really using it for professional use, stay away from those gimmicks. Now, next step is to choose your secondary light. Now, secondary lights have two purposes. One, they act as a backup for your primary light. Now, before we go on the next point, you might be saying, hey, why can't I use two primaries? It boils down to redundancy. Both lights use the same battery and your charger dies for both batteries. Then you stuck out two lights that are dead. Versus if you would have brought in one light that uses a 2170 battery and another light that uses the AA. You can find spare AAs anywhere in the world, right? Especially overseas travel. You can go into any convenience store and buy AA batteries. Can't go into a 7-Eleven ask for 21700 high capacity rechargeable batteries. It's impossible to find. That's why we always have a backup secondary light. So the second reason why we have a secondary light is for different function, right? You could have your primary light as a long throw, long beam light. Your secondary light could be a floodlight, wearable, right? This one has an L-shaped function so you can wear it, or a headlamp for hands-free use. What you want is a different kind of light that works differently to help you when things go wrong. Right, remember you map your workspace at the start, you also thought about all the things that could go wrong. So when things go wrong, what type of lights do you need? If you want to help patch someone up with a first aid kit, you can't have your big light here and then you use things one-handed. You can't, right? So you need a headlamp when those situations arise. Now, next step is to choose your companion tools. Now, companion tools are like your last line of defense when you're caught in darkness, right? They need to solve the three problems you have when you have no light. First is your sense of sight. You need to see and be seen. Second is the sound. When it's completely dark, you can't see, you rely on your sound to either command attention or draw attention, now depending on which end you're at. The last one is a force multiplier. Now, this is not necessary, but most of the times when people work in low light or you just travel in low light, you want some form of protection because low light is where all the tracks come out. Right? It could be bad guys, it could be animals, wild animals. At night, you need something to defend yourself that are better than your bare hands. Right? In most countries, they go with firearms, tasers, knives. Right? If you are in a more regulated country like Singapore, a tactical pen will be perfect. Now, this is exactly how I think of what to bring when going on any kind of job, travel, adventure, or even overnight camps. Right? This is the same framework I use to advise all our corporate clients, our online customers. So if you were to call me now and say, hey MJ, I'm going for a so-and-so trip, what do I need? I would ask you the same three questions, right? Where are you going? What are you going to do there? What could go wrong? Right, then based on your responses, I know what light to pick, right? A primary light, a secondary light for backup, and then the companion tools that will help you. And these are all the tools that our clients have bought over the years, whether knowing or unknowingly, right? The data shows it. When you first enter our world, you might come in with a keychain light. As you get more adventurous, you go on more night outings, they move up to a secondary light, a brighter light. Then when you're really all in on low light work or you get a new job, they most likely buy a primary light. Right? Some might enter the other way. They first buy a primary light, then they realize, oh, I need some kind of backup. Then they buy a secondary, then they buy a companion tools for when they are out with the kids. Right? So you see, these three things are the things that people buy over the course of 1 year. So again, I'm shortening this trial and error process that everyone has gone through in our world, shortening it and just giving it to you on a framework: primary, secondary, companion. Now, is it overkill, right? You might be wondering, wow, looking at that, I need to buy 3 lights. Then most of the time I will ask you, hey, how much is your safety worth to you? Do I really need that many? Like an innocent hike in the forest with your kid could escalate really fast. Right? One example could be, you only have one light shared between your kids and yourself, but this is super bright so you can light the way, you don't need anything else. But what if your kid falls down, you need to grab him and you lose this light somewhere, and then you're both stuck in the forest and he's bleeding out, you need to apply some help but you can't see, and your hands are all wet because all you feel is blood and you can't call for help, nobody can see you. Things will escalate really fast when it's low light. So many people underestimate the dangers of working in low light. Once you lose visibility, that's it. You can't see, you can't do, you are not effective anymore. Okay, that's why we always have a primary, secondary, and a companion tools. So 3 lights also give you the ability to layer, mix and match. It's not like you have to bring all 3 lights wherever you go, right? It doesn't make sense. You can scale it back and mix it based on the task at hand. Let's say you're walking a dog at night, all you gotta do is bring your companion tools and then you're set. If you're going traveling to a nearby country, you bring your companion tools, you bring your secondary tool, which is AA power, then you're good to go. If you're starting your shift, maybe you just go for your primary light and your companion tools and your set, and then you leave your secondary in your car, right? Your backup kit, your backup bag, right? You don't have to bring all 3, or you can mix and match depending on what you need for that night. So towards the bottom, you have your kit readiness checklist. So after you've chosen your primary light, your secondary, your 3 companion tools, the next question I'll ask you is, hey, do you have enough batteries? How long are you going for? Are you going for a 1 week overseas hiking trip, right? Then you better stock up on batteries. But do you need an external charger for your batteries? If you're going on a team setup and you need to charge multiple batteries at the same time, then you will need a different 4-bay charger versus a 1-bay USB charger, right? There's some of the considerations. Do you need a pouch to store everything for quick access, right? Imagine where you will keep your pouch for quick access. So you can go through this page and just fill it out. If you don't want to go through the trouble of finding different brands and models and whatever, you can check out the gear map guide at the link below, where I recommend the top 3 primary lights, the top 3 secondary lights, and the companion tools that I always carry and recommend. The list are always changing, so if Nightcore releases a new primary light that I find is better, I will update that list. Right, if you're buying your first light or your second light, you can use coupon code GEARMAP to get $7 off your first order. So don't let it go to waste. After you put together your own kit, do share them with us in our Facebook group. The link is down below as well. I can't wait to see what you guys put together. That's all I got. Stay safe and I'll see you on the inside.